Hello and welcome back to the arena. We talked recently about the M21 new player experience decks and specifically mentioned how the monocolored decks were special this year. Wizards has announced that these decks are planned to be eternal in standard, meaning that they won't rotate every year with the renewal package. That means these cards are going to be in standard for the foreseeable future, and that creates a bit of an opportunity for us. The issue with using wild cards in standard is that eventually those cards rotate out and quite possibly are not going to be as good in the historic format. These Eternal decks solve that problem and creates a real opportunity for us to create an Eternal deck. Within the red deck, we see that there is a bit of a mix here of a lean, aggressive deck built around Raid Bombardment, as well as a top-end big red deck. The low end is of real interest to us, as there are some cards here that are worth building around, particularly Raid Bombardment, and as such this creates a safe place for us to use wild cards that you will continue to use for the foreseeable future. Now, when you strip away the cards that don't really support the shell that we're going for, you end up with a very lean deck that focuses around Raid Bombardment. Using 2 common wild cards for Goblin Raiders and 2 uncommons for Raid Bombardment, you end up with what is roughly half a deck. From there, we want to look back at the other parts of our new player collection. But before we do that, let's talk about a couple things that we can very easily draft that will make this deck significantly better. Chandra's Pyroling powers up off of Raid Bombardment. Bolthound will power up our entire team without actually disengaging the Raid Bombardment effect. And Ginger Brute is a colorless, hasty 1/1 that will always trigger Raid Bombardment even the turn it comes into play. And for a small investment of mana, you can make it completely unblockable, which along with the boost from things like Bolthound can really make it a strong finisher for the deck. All of these things are very easy to draft. I don't suggest using wild cards for these for that reason, but these will make this deck much stronger for this season. Oh, and drafting up a 4th copy of Shock and a couple extra copies of Forbidden Friendship should not be difficult here. That really gives you about half of your remaining slots just from a very minimal amount of draft effort. From there, we're going to look at the new player experience collection that we were given for M21. There we find cards like Robber of the Rich, Forbidden Friendship, and Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher doesn't necessarily fit the theme of the deck, but it is extremely powerful removal and is honestly too good to pass up. From there, we'd have just a couple slots to fill. Looking at my personal collection from the rares that I have drafted, the Chandra's Incinerator and the Champion are perfect fits for this deck and really do a lot to punch it up over the top. Of course, your draft picks and your collection is going to vary, but here we're only talking about 2 cards in the deck, so go wild. Now, we have gotten a lot of mileage out of our wild cards so far. We have picked up a overpowered mythic that is really warping the meta with a good chance of getting that wild card back. We haven't used any of our rares yet. We've used all but 1 of our uncommon wild cards, but we have given ourselves an eternal non-rotating standard deck and a foothold into 2 colors for historic. That is supported by roughly half of our common choices, but we still have quite a lot to go, but we honestly aren't even into the main season. We're still in the renewal here, and I'd say we've used about half of our wildcard assets overall. So we are going to continue to be conservative with those and really look for opportunities that allow us to punch up our collection with our limited resources. Until next time, do all those Facebook things, like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time in the arena.